G'day and welcome to another episode of The Right Stuff, the exploits of soon-to-be Captain Samuel Wright. Following their completion of their duties in Van Diemen's Land, the 3rd Regiment, the Buffs, returned here to Sydney, where in 1826 the Governor had a new assignment for the newly promoted Captain Samuel Wright. Newcastle is 71 nautical miles from Sydney, and Sam arrived here on the Lord Liverpool, a cutter sailing from Sydney, after 12 hours of easy sail, averaging 6 knots. This is Macquarie Pier. This was the original pier serving the port of Newcastle. Now promoted to captain, Samuel was put in command of the garrison of troops here in Newcastle, which were housed in the barracks behind us next to the Commandant's residence, where his friend Francis Ullman resided. In early 1826, the new Governor of New South Wales, Governor Darling, was concerned at the administration of penal stations further north, and he selected Samuel to be the new Commandant of the secondary punishment penal station at Port Macquarie. Based primarily, I guess, on Samuel's experience as Commandant of Macquarie Harbour in Van Diemen's Land. Today we're in Port Macquarie, and in early 1826 Captain Samuel Wright was commissioned to be the Commandant of the Port Macquarie Penal Settlement, the jail of which was situated pretty much right here. There were 750 convicts. It was a place of secondary punishment, and he also had command of 88 troops. The first Commandant of Port Macquarie was Captain Francis Ullman of the 48th Regiment, and Samuel had fought alongside Ullman at the Battle of Albuera, and later would succeed Ullman as magistrate in Newcastle, and also would be a neighbour of Ullman's in the property up in the Hunter near Muswellbrook. Ullman was succeeded in command by Captain Gilman, and in turn Gilman was succeeded by Captain Samuel Wright. Port Macquarie was accessible by sea, an easy sail from Sydney, and it was certainly a tad warmer than Macquarie Harbour, although today it's only 12 degrees and it is a little bit chilly. Number 2 Clarence Street in Port Macquarie was originally the site of the Commandant's office. It's now this apartment building, but in 1826, Samuel would have sat in an office there planning the development of this penal settlement and also planning an expedition to explore the rivers inland. In March of 1826, Samuel commissioned the drawing of this plan, which is pictured on the wall behind us at the Port Macquarie Historical Museum, and it shows the layout of the settlement as it existed at that time. And if you note in the middle, it says the first planting of sugarcane in Australia was here in Port Macquarie and was facilitated by Captain Samuel Wright. So it was from here at the confluence of the Maria River and the Hastings River that Captain Samuel Wright, Commandant of Port Macquarie, led a party to explore the upper reaches of the Maria River, which had not been done before. He explored all the way to what is now known as Mariaville, discovered another river that would take his name. While Samuel is in overall command of the expedition up the Maria River, the boat was under the command of J.E.B. Wilson, and they were guided by an Aboriginal native called Mooney. Now, it's slightly ironic that Samuel claimed to have discovered the Wright River when he was actually led there by someone who'd known it was there for maybe 40, 50,000 years. But that's how we write colonial history, isn't it? After carrying their boats overland from the Maria River, Samuel and his party came to this as yet undiscovered river, which he named Wright's River. He travelled further upstream to see how far he could get. Samuel and his party travelled as far up the river as they could until they reached what are now called Belgrave Falls. The first Europeans, a military party led by Captain Wright from Port Macquarie, reached this crossing when exploring the New River in 1826. The original settlement of Belgrave Falls was actually right here. There was a police courthouse, and in 1857, however, it was moved further south to where the town of Kempsey now is. So from here, where it's now located, the town of Kempsey, Samuel and his party travelled from here to its mouth here, just near the town of Southwest Rocks. The mouth has shifted a little over the years, but this is near the official mouth of the river where the vessels enter in and out. In 1827, the subsequent Commandant of Port Macquarie, Archibald Clunes Innes, renamed this river the Macquarie River in honour of his father-in-law and the Colonial Secretary of New South Wales. But to us, it's still Wright's River. This is the Trial Bay Jail historic site, and while this was built well after Samuel was in this region, being built in 1886, the bay itself into which the Macquarie River, or as it was then the Wright's River, enters, was named after the brig Trial, which was wrecked here in 1816 after being piratically seized by some convicts. Those pirate convicts certainly get around, don't they? An irony that Samuel's River entered into this bay. And that's a throwback to the last series, if you were wondering. There are very few buildings from the colonial period remaining in Port Macquarie today, the museum and the old courthouse being two of them. But the only one that existed in the time that Captain Samuel Wright was here is St Thomas's Anglican Church behind us. Construction began on St Thomas's in 1824 and was ongoing when Samuel was in charge. Samuel was succeeded as Commandant by Captain later Major Archibald Clunes Innes. he was also of the 3rd Regiment, and obviously had served with Samuel. And I'm just wondering whether there was some sort of rivalry or bad blood between them, because it was Innes who decided to change the name of Wright's River that Samuel had discovered and named only the year before. Yeah, he was honouring his father-in-law and the Colonial Secretary Macleay, but it's an interesting thing to do, isn't it? I mean, when one of the other officers of your own regiment names a river and then you decide to change it and name it after your father-in-law rather than honouring your fellow officer. Interesting. Now, Clunes Innes was buried in Newcastle, but according to the local historical society, his headstone was later moved here to the historical cemetery in Port Macquarie. I've wandered around and I can't find it as such, and there are a couple of homeless people in tents further down, so I'm not going to go further down there. I don't want to disrupt them, so we'll just have to let him rest in peace, even though his body's actually in Newcastle and his headstone's apparently here. So he may not have a river named after him anymore, but he does have a creek. This is Wright's Creek. Wright's Creek, right name. Samuel only spent less than a year as Commandant of Port Macquarie, for in November of 1826 he was recalled to Sydney because Governor Darling had a secret expedition planned and he wanted Samuel to lead it. And you know, to experience that one, you'll have to watch the next episode of The Right Stuff. So if you like this video, please click like, please subscribe, hit me up some comments if you're a relation to the Wright family, or you've got some connections to the places that we've visited. Yeah, please feel free to engage, and we'll catch you next time. Wright's Lane, right name. Wright's Road, right name. Wright's River, wrong name.